Well, it's the weekend, and the Dodgers may be up for a reunion. What's up, everybody? I'm Jim Rodriguez, and welcome to the Friday here on Dodgers Latest. So happy that you're with us. Always like you to be part of the show. Remember, J Rod Show, Instagram, and on X is where you can get a hold of me. You can like, subscribe, tell us what you feel. Of course, we always right there, those viewer comments. We're going to have some more for you as we talked a little Byron Buxton yesterday on the show. You've let your opinion know. Like, subscribe, share, tell everybody, hit those thumbs up as the Dodgers are getting closer to the winter meetings, and there's a definitely a rumor and an air about a possible reunion with a two-time World Series MVP. That's right. How about the return of Corey Seager? Yeah, it's a bit of a long shot, but when you sort of map it out a little bit, is it really a long shot? First of all, the Rangers, they're looking to shed some salary. There's been some talk about trading Aroldis Garcia. Now there's talk about getting rid of Corey Seager. Basically, he is still owed $189 million over the next 6 years, $31.5 million. Remember, he left the Dodgers and signed a 10-year, $300 million plus deal with the Rangers. And hey, it worked for them. He's had big years for them. Won a World Series in Texas. Was the MVP of the 23 World Series, just like he was the MVP of the 2020 World Series with the Dodgers. But injuries kind of slowed him down last year. He was dealing with a hamstring issue, and then he had to have his appendix removed, and that pretty much derailed his season. Still didn't have a bad season in 102 games. Hit 21 homers, 50 RBIs, but this is a guy that while he was with Texas had 3 straight 30 home run seasons. He's had 3 40 double seasons in his career. He's 3 times Silver Slugger, and again, more than anything, it's that fact that he was a 2-time World Series MVP. And of course, he played with the Dodgers 2015 through 2021, was drafted by the Dodgers. And the first thought is, would he want to come back? Well, there wasn't any sort of anger. There wasn't sort of anything bad feelings. It was pure business. The Rangers, backed up the trunk and gave him over $300 million. There was a bit of an injury concern in his time in LA, and I guess that was part of why the Dodgers were eager to let him go. And it's funny, one of the comments we always seem to get is Dodgers seem to not want to sign shortstops. They let Corey Seager walk. They wouldn't sign Trey Turner when they had him. So an interesting situation. And here's why I think it's a possibility of him returning. Obviously, we know what he's done in the playoffs, right? A monster postseason player. Was the 2020 NLCS MVP in addition to those 2 World Series MVPs. But to me, you're getting 6 years, 189, right? That's what's owed to Corey Seager. He's 32 years old, still in the prime of his career. And for me, you're getting a guy that, when healthy, he will deliver. And that 6 years, $189 million contract, much cheaper than a Kyle Tucker, much cheaper than Murakawa coming over from Japan. So I almost feel like if the Dodgers can try to think about it from a financial thing. We always think about the Dodgers as a team that, finances don't seem to matter. How much is it? We'll pay. And you know what? As a fan base, you got to appreciate and love that, right? That you have ownership that's going to go ahead and sign players no matter what and what it costs. But if they don't want to spend $400 million for Kyle Tucker, what's Murakami going to cost you, right? He's going to cost you $400 million. And I think with Corey Seager, what he brings to the table is he'll play shortstop, right? And then what does that do to Mookie Betts? Well, Mookie Betts would have to move over to second base. And now comes all everything. Oh, how can you move Mookie Betts again? Well, Mookie Betts can play second base. He's that talented. He's that much of an athlete. Question is, would he want to? Another reason why I like Corey Seager as a possibility, first of all, that controlled 6 years, $189 million contract is maybe he can move over to third base when Max Muncy's done. Remember, Muncy has one more year, and maybe that's it for Max Muncy. So could Seager play third base? I know it's a lot of people changing positions and moving around, but again, that's sort of the Dodger way. If you're going to play for the Dodgers, you're going to have to be able to play multiple positions and be able to do it, at the drop of a hat. Mookie's played right. He's played second. He's played short. Could he move back to second to bring in Corey Seager? I mean, I'm just saying, you put Corey Seager in the middle of that lineup with Ohtani, with Freeman, with Mookie. Now, it gets very left-handed because Corey Seager is left-handed. Again, will it happen? I don't know if it'll happen. I think the Braves are really hot on Corey Seager. Problem with the Braves is they're trying to win, but they're trying to burn the candle on both ends, right? They're trying to win, but not necessarily spend the money. But Seager, very attractive at 32 years old, locked in with a 6-year, $189 million contract. Rangers are trying to move off that salary, so whoever makes the trade, especially for the Dodgers, it's not going to cost you big-time prospects or big-time major league ready guys, because what the Rangers are trading is relief. They're saying, we want to get this $189 million off our books. So give us something. They're not going to trade them away for anything, but you're not going to necessarily take your top prospects in the minor leagues. Maybe a middle-tier minor leaguer and a couple of fringe major leaguers just to say you got something back, but with the Rangers' goal in this is to get rid of that $189 million contract. It's an interesting situation. Can you imagine if they end up getting Bellinger and Seager? It's 2020 all over again, but how would a Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Corey Seager, Max Muncy infield look for you? And then you still have your issues in terms of the outfield. Who's going to play left field? Pages is in center. Teo's over in right. How do you work that out? It's an interesting situation, but Corey Seager, definitely the attractive thing about it is he's 32, could still have some pop in the bat. I love that he's a doubles machine, and that salary at 6 years, 189, very, very attractive for a guy that, had some injury problems with the Dodgers, but other than last year when he had that appendicitis, has been a pretty strong contributor and in there every day for the Texas Rangers. All right, we always want you to be part of the show. That's one of my favorite parts, where we read your comments and your suggestions. I read them all, and I go ahead and I try to respond to as many as I can. And yesterday we talked about Byron Buxton, right? A guy that, much like Corey Seager, when he's healthy, absolute beast. So would the Dodgers be interested in a Byron Buxton? There's another guy who has, a lot of years left on his contract, but still kind of affordable. Well, hard pass on Buxton. I'd rather have Duran or bring up the youngsters. Yeah, Jarren Duran, right? That's all of a sudden a name that's popping up there, because the Red Sox are thinking about trading Jarren Duran. There's a guy that he just signed a 1-year deal. He can't go to free agency, so he's under team control for at least another 5 years. The Red Sox signed him to a 1-year, $7 million deal in terms of to avoid arbitration. Jarren Duran, really young. Now you're talking team control. But again, unlike a Corey Seager, the Red Sox are going to want to haul for Jarren Duran because, again, he's under team control. You're not going to have to spend a lot of money, and you're not taking on that crazy amount of salary. With Seager, you're trading the salary for less back if you're Texas. That's what makes him a very interesting proposition for the Dodgers. Okay, Andy Pages. Everybody thinks I have something against Andy Pages. I don't. I think Andy Pages is a great center fielder. He helped the Dodgers win the World Series literally by making that catch in left field. My issue with Andy Pages is, if you're going to make a trade, not a free agent signing, who is those teams going to want? You're going to want Andy Pages because Andy Pages is young, under team control, and has pretty much a high ceiling. So why the rush to get rid of Andy Pages? I'm not trying to get rid of him. I'm just saying any team would want Andy Pages as part of a deal if you're going to make a trade because, again, a major league ready guy right now has pop. Service time isn't there yet, so he's under team control for a long, significant amount of time. That's what makes him so attractive to trade. Didn't Pedro Martinez, Adrian Beltre start with the career with the Dodgers before becoming Hall of Famers? Absolutely. I tell you what, Andy Pages, a Hall of Famer? Okay, I listen, I love the optimism, right? I love the optimism. Why not? don't think we're quite there yet. But the reason that I think Andy Pages, I talk about him a lot in Part of a Trade because, again, that's who you would trade because he's a valuable chip in getting somebody back. All right, Jaron Duran, that's an interesting possibility. We'll get into that. We'll stew that over the weekend. Winter meetings are coming. Winter is coming. And will the Dodgers end up making a trade? Are you down for Corey Seager back in L.A., back in Dodger Blue? That contract is nice, healthy, postseason chops. Interesting stuff. I'm Jim Rodriguez. Remember to hit me up on Instagram and on X right there at JRod Show. And, of course, here on Dodgers Latest. Love to hear you. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, share, and let us know what you're feeling. I'm Jim Rodriguez, and despite it all, it's time for Dodger Baseball.